Hello, my name is George Kobar, and I'm a Senior Technical Marketing Manager for vCloud Air. Today I'll be discussing an overview of vCloud Air's advanced networking services. Advanced networking services are enterprise-grade cloud networking and security services in vCloud Air that combine the flexibility of the public cloud with the security and manageability that customers have come to expect on-premises. Powered by VMware NSX technology, these services not only enhance the security and networking capabilities with vCloud Air, but also some of the key network integration challenges that prevent organizations from moving to the hybrid cloud. The Edge Gateway provides services like dynamic and static routing, VPN, data center extension, or extending your layer 2 network into vCloud Air, a load balancer, multiple interface trunking, NAT, PAT, and a stateful layer 3 firewall, which protects network traffic both to and from the service. Advanced security groups offer a stateful in-kernel firewall that manipulates network traffic both at the layer 2 and layer 3. Because this firewall is at the kernel level, you can take advantage of the line rate throughput or minimize impact to network performance. It also enforces firewall rules even before the traffic arrives to the virtual network. Advanced security groups also provide advanced pickers, object-based firewall rules that allow you to select the data center, MAC address, IP, virtual machine, and VMNIC. Sequence rule table, rule naming for organizations and visibility, and 5-tuple for mapped applications. Advanced networking services also provide your network team the ability to configure a syslog IP on the Edge Gateway to capture messages to a syslog server. You're also provided load balance health checks and a dashboard to view network traffic over the Edge Gateway interfaces. For those who use API, can also manipulate the Edge Gateway with the API. And now for a brief demonstration of the vCloud Air Advanced Networking Services. To save some time, I've already logged into the vCloud Air user interface. I'm going to select my virtual data center, Hybridity 1, where Advanced Networking Services is configured. I'm going to go ahead and select my Gateways tab. And here we can see we have two gateways, Gateway 001 and Hybridity 1. Now, in order to take advantage of the Advanced Networking Services, I need to go into vCloud Director for the user interface. Eventually, we'll expose this into the vCloud Air user interface. I'm going to go ahead and select Manage in vCloud Director. Within the vCloud Director user interface, I'm going to go ahead and select Gateway 001 and right-click. What has changed is this option to convert to advanced networking. By selecting this option, I'm upgrading my Edge Gateway from the old VCNS Edge Gateway to the NSX Edge Gateway. One thing that will change is the vCloud API will change to the new Advanced Networking Services API. So more information will be released when that's available. I'm going to go ahead and select Edge Gateway Services to take a look at the Advanced Networking Services dashboard. From the dashboard, we can see different interface throughput statistics. We also can see concurrent connection statistics. By hovering over these high peaks and low peaks, we also can get more information about the actual connection on a particular interface. If we take a look at the firewall, here we can see that the Edge Gateway, once we've upgraded to the Advanced Networking Services, has carried our firewall rules over. One change to the firewall is that it's not just a 5-tuple firewall, but in addition has an object-based firewall. For example, if I add a new firewall rule by selecting the green plus, I can now select different source types. For example, I could choose the source type of a data center, or this rule will apply to the entire virtual data center, IP sets, or a predefined range of IP addresses, networks, or the networks that are defined in vCloud Director or for the vCloud Air service, virtual machine, so you can have a list of different virtual machines that you can select from, and VNIC group, or in other words, would be the interfaces to apply this rule on the Edge Gateway. So if I select virtual machine, here's a list of virtual machines. I'm going to go ahead and select VM1 and bring that over. The same selection is true for the destination. Another change that we've made with Advanced Networking Services is the Services tab. If I select the plus sign here, you'll see we have a pre-loaded defined canned services that are available. For example, we can see here Microsoft Exchange 2010, or SAP, Oracle, a wide variety of services. If you don't see the service that you need for your application, you can select New and create a brand new service. For example, we can create JBoss with the TCP protocol and our defined set of ports that we wanted to do. So for example, we can type in 8080 through a comma, 8081 through 8090 as an example. As we move over to DHCP, we can see that we still have the same functionality as the old VCNS, where we can define different groups for DHCP and bindings. With VCNS, you also had an option to do destination NAT or source NAT, and that's no exception here. By pressing the green plus sign, we also can define what NATing rules that we need. By selecting the Routing tab, we can see these two new capabilities under Dynamic Routing, OSPF and BGP. This saves the network administrator the time to configure routing information between your on-premise data center and vCloud Air, also reducing the amount of operational expenditures. Let's take a quick look at OSPF. And here we can see where we can define area definitions and area to interface mappings. On BGP, or Border Gateway Protocol, we can see where we can configure neighbors by pressing this green plus. It's important to note that we're not exposing BGP to the open internet or transmitting AS, so you can use BGP over a private circuit, such as MPLS, in our offering Direct Connect. By defining route redistribution, you can clearly see that you can also build in redundancies in your pathing using dynamic routing. If we select the Load Balancer tab, we also have the ability to offload SSL certificates onto the load balancer. By selecting the application profiles, here's where you can find where you can add that certificate onto the load balancer. By looking at the load balancer pools and pressing the green plus sign, we can see that we've also added some different load balancing algorithms, including HTTP header and URL. Moving over to IPSec VPN and pressing the green plus sign, we can see that we now support Diffie-Hellman groups 2 and now 5. And also, you can modify the IPSec VPN tunnel to include or exclude different peer or local subnets to your desire. So you no longer have to remove or take down the tunnel. You can always reconfigure the IPSec VPN tunnel and publish changes to make your modifications. Moving to SSL VPN Plus, here you can see where we can configure the client to server VPN. With the following settings, you can either integrate with your Active Directory, also allow local users or users from your Active Directory domain to be able to log into the service securely from their desktop location. You also can build installation packages and also different configuration items with lease timeouts or times when they can log into the service. Skipping over to grouping objects, here we can see that we can group different services or like services together. For example, if I press the green plus sign, Here we can define different IP sets. Skipping over to grouping objects and selecting the service groups, we can combine different services together to provide a service group. As an example, by pressing the green plus sign, we can combine multiple services that we created, like JBoss or Telenet or SAP messaging server, into one service group for the ease of adding multiple ports allowed to and from the service. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Layer 2 firewall. Now the difference is between the firewall I'm showing here. This firewall at the edge gateway is the north and south firewall, or the firewall that protects your virtual machine traffic to and from the service. But if I go ahead and go back to the vCloud Director user interface and select the virtual data center and right-click on my Hybrid 81 virtual data center, we'll also see this link that says Manage Firewall. Notice we've opened up a new tab and see that we can see the firewall settings here. Now, under General, this is the Layer 3 firewall that's distributed across the entire virtual data center. So we can still manage the firewall or the north and south from this point, but you also can manage the firewall from the east and west aspect among virtual machines. So by selecting the Ethernet tab, we can manage our firewall at the Layer 2. If I press the green plus sign, here we can see we can create a Layer 2 firewall, or that which restricts traffic to and from the VMs or on the east and west plane. By selecting the plus sign, here we still have the options for data center, network, and virtual machine, but now we've also included MAC sets. Because this is at the Layer 2, you can define a range of MAC addresses you want to either allow or restrict traffic to and from. But if I select virtual machine and VM1 as my source, and as my destination, I'm going to select virtual machine 2. And any service, I can also explicitly deny the traffic, even if the VM1 and VM2 happen to be on the same network or the same Layer 2 segment. I also have a new option as a part of the distributed firewall to apply these rules to the entire data center, or to a specific edge gateway, to a network that's defined in vCloud Air, or to a particular virtual machine. Thank you. For more information on vCloud Air, please visit vcloud.vmware.com.